Peace. Brought to you by I Am Phenomenal Unlimited. This is the Speak Your Mind podcast, hosted by the Queen, Shanice Gatewood Ali, and the God, I Be. Speak Your Mind, an open line podcast delves into the week's current events, trending topics, and the social issues that affect Black people in America. Peace, everybody. Peace, everybody. Welcome to the Speak Your Mind podcast with the Ali's. It's I don't even know what number episode anymore. We've been doing so many episodes. So this is our second season. So welcome to the Speak Your Mind podcast with the Ali's. As was said, my name is the God I Be, and I have with me the beautiful Queen, Miss Shanice Gatewood Ali. Peace, Queen.
Peace. How you doing?
Everything's good. Everything is good. So today
Good.
is September 26th. In the 5% Nation, we say that today is wisdom, equality, all being born to build or destroy. Wisdom is the wise words, ways, and actions, or the manifestation of everything that you know, right? Equality is to share that information with those that you come across, those that's in your household, and those that's in the neighborhood and everywhere, just to give that information freely to others. That's equality. And that brings forth what is called build or destroy. The build is to add on positively in the environment on all the things that is conducive to nation building. And destroy is to take away those negative qualities, all of those other things that are detriment to your neighborhood, community, surroundings, family, and others. So with that, I want to say peace. Today we have a excellent interview with Mrs. Nijaah Howard, who is the editorial director of Thoughts Magazine. And she's going to give you some powerful information. But before we do that, let me pass it to the Queen so she can open up and speak about the things she want to say.
Peace, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I kind of miss doing this. We had our couple of days or a couple of weeks off. Everybody needs some time to relax and regroup and get it back again. But I definitely miss this. In the process of us being absent, I finished up my life coach class, so that was super exciting. I finished that up. I'm still in school, everybody. I'm still in school. For some reason, I'm kind of behind on some stuff, but it's all good. Got to get it back. However, I do want to mention right now in our segment, and I'm going to mention it again later on. We have been hearing a lot of everybody know next month is Domestic Violence Month, and We Are Phenomenal Woman is the name of my organization, and we are working on a commercial, a domestic violence commercial. Like we see commercials for so many other things, but that's a commercial we don't see, and that needs to be in the forefront as well as everything else. Everybody's issue seem like it's more important than um, our our female issues, and remind you it's more females getting killed than we hearing about males. So with that being said, We Are Phenomenal Women is working on a domestic violence commercial. If anybody would like to be a part of it, please feel free to reach out to wearephenomenalwoman.com or sgatewood WAPW at gmail.com. It's so many different ways of getting our message across. Some people are scared to show their face, and I understand that. However, there's other ways. If you come with a poster, make sure you have a poster that represents something that you want to say regarding domestic violence. Also, you can wear your purple shirt. Domestic violence month, October is the color is purple. We can also not show your face. We could blur out your face. Or there is some people who just said, you know what, enough is enough, and that's the name of our commercial. Enough is enough, and they don't care about showing their face. So there's so many different options and ways that we can do this domestic violence commercial, and everybody's still being safe. Later on, we're going to show our Enough is Enough um, flyer. So once again, if anyone who would like to participate, 2, 3, or just yourself, come out and do the work of the community, and for yourself and for others who are not willing to speak up or scared to speak up or lost their voice in the fight, please come out and participate in that. We are phenomenalwoman.com, or Shanice, excuse me, S Gatewood, GATEWOOD WAPW at gmail.com. Later on, we will put all that information up. Also, I do want to bring some attention to um I'm launching Mrs. Ali Tea Time, Mrs. Ali Tea Time on YouTube. So once again, October is Domestic Violence Month. So what I would like to do for the very first time is talk about the 7 common warning signs in a relationship, in a toxic relationship. 7 common signs of a toxic relationship. I would like to bring those things into the forefront. Once again, um, Tea Time with Mrs. Ali. I'm going to talk about each one for the whole week, or maybe skip, pretty much the whole week, or maybe skip a week or whatever have you. But either way, you got to stay tuned, subscribe, and definitely pay attention to that. I'm going to be, once again, 7 common warning signs of a toxic relationship. Yes.
So where can they find Tea Time with Mrs. Ali? Because this is a whole new thing. I didn't even hear about this. When you start this Tea Time with Mrs. Ali situation, I thought this was Speak Your Mind podcast with the Ali's. Now you got Tea Time with Mrs. Ali. You didn't
Yes, yes.
what's going on here?
Well, once again, you go on YouTube, and it's Tea Time with Mrs. Ali. So this one is something I thought about for the month of October, and I'm going to continue, but I thought about getting the awareness out a different way as well. So everybody come on over to the channel Tea Time with Mrs. Ali, get some information regarding domestic violence. um I will continue to enlighten everyone as much as I can. I am also, once again, a life coach and a domestic violence advocate. So please come over there, YouTube, and check out Tea Time with Mrs. Ali. Thank you.
Fireworks. So we keep it moving. We gotta keep adding on. So
Absolutely.
we're also going to be doing another podcast, a special edition. We have Speak Your Mind podcast special edition on the 28th. We have the brother Hakeem Herring. They call his brother Mr. Real Estate down there in the Atlanta area. On the 28th, he's going to come on a special edition of Speak Your Mind podcast, and he's going to teach people how to wholesale real estate. Now, this is a different technique that not too many people speak about, but with this technique, you do not need a real estate license. You do not need a lot of education about the subject, but he's going to give you enough where you will be able to go out there and actually make money for yourself with real estate. So this is something that I think a lot of people want to tune into, because we facing a lot of situations with the economy and a lot of different mandates and different things working for people. So this is a way to make income on your own. So I think a lot of people will be interested in tuning into this podcast that we have coming on the 28th at 7 p.m. We will be having Hakeem Herring, aka Mr. Real Estate, from down in Atlanta, and he's going to give some beautiful information, so you don't want to miss it. So before we start, I also want to say subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Speak Your Mind podcast with the Ali's, and hit the notification bell. Also, like our page on Facebook, the I Am Phenomenal Unlimited business page, because we also stream to that page as well, and we stream to my page, The God I Be. But without further ado, I definitely want to introduce our guest before we start talking about current events, so she could chime in, because we definitely want to hear what she has to say about the current events. So the person that we have today is a person that I have met, say probably about 6 months to a year now. and she has a magazine called Thoughts Magazine that's actually getting great information out to those who have been formerly incarcerated and those who are youth that may be at risk of being incarcerated. She also has something called the King Pack that she has accrued funds for that she could distribute to people that are coming home from incarceration. But I'm gonna let her expound on that. But let me just read a little bit of something about her before I introduce her to the panel. Her name is Nijaah Howard, aka Coach Mo. The Single Woman's Coach is a Christian and new release author of Raising John's Boy and Dare to Be Authentic, Volume 6. She's a mental health counselor, philanthropist, relational speaker, empowerment coach, mother. She is the editorial director of Thoughts Magazine and president of Young Men Strong, LLC, a MWBE certified umbrella company that embodies professional male leaders and businessmen who provide service to the sons of strong single mothers 10 to 17 and overburdened young men 18 to 24 from life stressors, aka incarceration, foster care, homelessness, underemployed, OST, etc. Who come together to empower, educate, and engage through media, consulting, and mentoring. And she has a quote here: when we strengthen our boys and men, we stabilize our girls and women. So without further ado, let us introduce Miss Nijaah Howard. Peace, Queen.
Peace, peace, peace.
Welcome to the panel. Welcome to the panel. We can't hear you. Hold on. Okay, there you go.
Oh, peace, peace, guys. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, thank you for coming.
We
Yeah.
definitely wanted to celebrate all the things that you're doing in the community. How's your morning?
Oh, God is good. I can't complain ever. The breeze is nice. I love the way the breeze comes in, and it's just lovely in the morning. So I'm loving every bit of it.
That's
Well, have you
great.
had your morning tea or coffee or anything like that?
You know what? I just finished meditating when you guys decided to give me a ring. So I just actually had my little me time with my Heavenly Father. So I didn't get a
That's
chance to
good.
eat yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. They've been telling me that I need to get back into my meditation, my wellness. What does meditation do for you? Just if you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, it does a lot of things. One, it relaxes my spirit. This way, whenever, if for those that don't know, I'm not really big into social media, so it helps to reduce a lot of anxiety, a lot of
Hmm.
stress. Um, but it also prepares me for whatever's coming my way. So it clears
Hmm.
my mind, and I'm able to focus a lot better. Um, so I encourage people to just take a
Hmm.
little minute for yourself in the morning time to just breathe, collect your thoughts, let your mind and your body connect with each other. And really, before you start your day and jumping on that treadmill of life, just take a little minute.
Absolutely.
That's
I do want to share about meditation. It like you said, it do relax you. At the beginning of the pandemic, I would get on Facebook at a certain time and I would burn a candle. And I remember when I was doing it, people and I played the music behind it, and people was just like, "Oh my goodness, that was so relaxing," to the point that they almost fell asleep on Facebook. and,
wow.
and yeah, and then while we used to do a lot of support groups, and we did the meditation during the time right before we open up, because like you said, right before you get to the hustle and bustle, you should meditate in the morning. However, people will come to an office or facility and they just got cursed out, all these other elements that we go through in the process of trying to get somewhere, and you're at rage by the time you make it to wherever you're at. So I would stop and just have us to meditate, and it feels really good. I definitely need to get back into that as well.
And everybody's meditation's a little bit different, right?
That's
Some
true.
people like to deep breathe, which is
Hmm.
one of the methods I definitely encourage.
Hmm.
But sometimes, like myself, what I tend to do is I tend to sit with my book and my pen in my hand, and I tend to just write. And so that is my meditation. That's the way that I'm able to release myself, collect my thoughts, bring down any kind of feelings of stress or anxiety,
Hmm.
and really collect myself. So Deep breathing is also is number one. I mean, I definitely encourage taking at least 20 minutes out of your life, just 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
The quality of your life will improve when you take a little
Mhm.
moment to just focus on you and what's the energy around you.
That's great.
I was
Wow.
able to take a 6 months course on mindfulness meditation. A lot of people don't know. Listen, I delve into a lot of different things. But anyway, mindfulness meditation, right? They said that with mindfulness, you're able to um recreate recreate these connections in the brain, because when we go out there for that instant gratification, a lot of times, people that are thrill seeking or people that have substance use or all of these different things, they create these bonds in their mind where this is where they release the certain chemicals that give them pleasure, right? And these things are toxic. So you go out there and you constantly seek gratification in these ways. But they said that by using meditation, you can actually create better bonds, so you have a different way to cope with certain events in your life. So you don't have to
Mm.
go out there with the substance use or the thrill seeking or so forth and so on. But it's called mindfulness meditation. If anybody, go out there and do a Google search and find some books on mindfulness meditation. It's a very good tool, and there's definitely information to back it. So
Wow. That's
today,
mm.
we definitely want to get into a couple current events. So one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about was yesterday. I had the pleasure of going to an event in the Bronx on Hoe Avenue at the Boys and Girls Club. I was invited by last week's guest, the brother Reggie Mitchell, my uncle Reggie Mitchell. He invited me to come out to an event yesterday, and the event was at the Boys and Girls Club. It was in honor of a young man that had been, uh, I guess, slain. He was murdered in the Bronx over there on Hoe Avenue. I think his name
Mm.
was Aether, and so he said, Mark McPhee made a post. Uncle Mark, he made a post. He said, I supported the team forum at the Boys Club in the Bronx, given by Doc in honor of a young man who was murdered. My circle of brothers, Families United Solutions, Brothers and Recovery, Ron, Robert Hart, and Reggie Mitchell were guests as well. Another brother I hadn't seen in years, King Tone, also Dollar Bill, and Robert, son of Pop, Robert Williams of the Peacemakers, was also there. It was an afternoon of inspiration to our young people and a chance to speak to them so that they could see about coping with the loss of their peers, right? So it was a
Mm.
great event. So I wanted to show a couple pictures of the event that Mark had posted. It was definitely a great it's definitely a great day in the Bronx. So, we do this work. We give back to our youth in the Bronx and everywhere else. And we want to make sure that our youth in the community are supported, right? We,
Mhm.
we know that it's hard for them to cope with all of the events that we've been through in the last year and all of the events that they go through on a daily basis, because when their peers are being killed or their peers are being incarcerated, people are being all types of things. Family members are being lost. They need that extra support. So this is
Mhm.
one of the places where they're giving support at the Boys and Girls Club in the Bronx. And here's a couple of pictures to show the event. As you can see, it's the Madison Square Boys and Girls Club, right? And it was a beautiful event. They had a lot of speakers, and I think it was positive. What y'all think about that?
Well, I think they should have more of these. And I know Brother Reggie is always doing something with the youth as well as Brother Mark. But I know this is their every year event. So I believe that this is a great thing to show that we do care. I know Fuss have done stuff with the youth as well, including myself. We are Phenomenal Woman. We have done stuff with the youth. You are actively involved with the youth as well. The God I be. So these things, if it wasn't COVID, I'm sure we'd be doing way more. But right now, it is a situation. But I think these are the things that we need. Also, I believe that hopefully next year we can have something where is a spa treatment. You and I went and did a spa treatment, and it felt really good. Also, Sister Naja, maybe you could come out and do something with meditation. I think it needs to be more of a wellness event. So if the brothers are listening, I think we should have a wellness workshop with the young men, because we do it for the females, but we need to
Right.
do something like that for the young men as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great work. They've done great work.
Mm-hmm.
So what you
They've done
think?
great work.
What you think, Naja? I think maybe we should have Thoughts Magazine start to come out to these events and do some
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, definitely, absolutely. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving whenever I see, our people, black and brown people just sticking together, doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And in spite of COVID and everything that's going on in the news, we have great leaders who are still out there doing the work, who are getting up, getting out, socializing with these young people because they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have a responsibility and an obligation to give back to our community, regardless of what's out here. We have to still stand up and stand for our young people. So to see good work like this, I'm so like my heart is warm to stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, and I definitely feel like the connection of our young people having Thoughts Magazine in their hands will only enhance the information that they're exposed to and the resources that are out here, so that they'll know that it's not just the Boys and Girls Club that's in that community, but there's a whole host of other nonprofit grassroots organizations that are on the ground level doing the work to empower them, to engage them, to make sure they're educated and making sure that they have all the tools that they need. So big ups to this one, but Thoughts Magazine definitely brings light and love to all of the organizations that's out here giving love to our people.
Absolutely. So I see Brother Reggie. He's
right.
listening. He said, I could use the spa treatment."
It's true because he works hard. It's true. He works hard.
He's one of the hardest working
Absolutely.
men in show business. So this is the young brother that was murdered right here, right? This is his picture. His name is Cather. He was murdered in the Bronx. This is his brother actually right here. Let me see. Okay, so this is his brother. His brother said he's actually in the military, and he's been in the military, I think, for 10 years. He gave a talk about, the things that he has been through. And one of the things he said, he was able to get his mother out of the Bronx. So definitely, he's supporting his family, and, he felt bad about his brother's situation. Well, he said he has definitely turned his situation into a positive one by getting into the military and going to school. I think he said he had 3 degrees, right?
Ooh,
Excellent.
good for him.
Excellent.
So this young lady right here is actually an A student. She is, I think, 5 years away from being a doctor. She came through the Boys and Girls Club and has been an honor roll student all the way through.
Wow. Phenomenal.
Right.
She's a phenomenal woman, right, Shanice?
Hey, for sure. For sure.
And then this young lady as well is currently in college. She came through the Boys and Girls Club and she's doing excellent. She spoke about, having strict parents and not really being allowed to be out there in the street, but, always being curious. But she said that she stayed focused and was able to pull through and to get into college, and now she's doing well.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, so it was definitely some positive people out there. And look, the brother Uncle Reggie, he actually wore our new
Hey.
Yes.
Hey.
Yep.
You already see what that says right there. Call me king, not nigga. He has the
right.
jacket. We trying to change the narrative out there. Well, we're not trying. We're changing narrative out there.
You're doing it.
Call me
Absolutely.
king, right? Do not call me nigga. Call me king. It's nothing just to say, "What up, king?" Instead of saying, "What up, N-word?" And that's really positive. So we definitely want to change that. And the brother was very happy to get the jacket, and he sported it. He said, "Listen, I don't care if it's hot outside. I'm wearing this. I'm presenting."
Well, thank you. Big ups to you, Reggie. And listen, the jacket looks great on you.
It looks
definitely appreciate, I appreciate you wearing it. You was the first one that got the jacket and branded. We working on some great things. We, at the end of the day, we we want to have power in our words, right? So maybe if you start wearing it, just like some of us, we get our hair done, we got our makeup on, and we feel good, you know. But it's like now, and if some people wear suits, they feel good. So maybe if you wear the jacket and it says what it says, you get more people looking at you and say, "Hey, King, how you doing, King? I like that jacket, King." You know, so one of my sisters said, "When you gonna have ours?" You know, I do have the information for the queens. Call me queen, not the B word. I'm working on that, so that's coming up shortly. But for right now, listen, I love it, love it, love it.
And I'm getting my t-shirt. I'm getting mine because I
Oh,
think that's dope. You know
okay.
what I mean?
That's what's
You
up.
know, make
Thank
sure
you,
you,
thank you.
you know what I mean? That's what we have to do. We must
Change the
continue
narrative. That's
change the
right.
narrative. But in addition to that, we have to support each other. It's imperative that we do.
Amen.
That's how we stay on top.
That's
Right.
right.
Black-owned businesses all the way.
All the way.
All the way. So we support black-owned businesses. Which yours is a black-owned business, so it's even more
That's right.
important
We
to
have you
support
here.
Salty Magazine and Young Men Strong. So yeah, there's a couple things in the culture that we wanted to address. First thing first, most of us have children, so we definitely wanted to speak about this, which is a current ongoing situation that's going on. Matter of fact, I just recently had a call from my daughter earlier this week where she was saying how some students in her school or who were in the middle school, they actually caught COVID, and she was kind of
Mhm.
apprehensive about going back to school, knowing that COVID is circulating in the schools at this time. So it's been an ongoing thing. Should we send our children to schools? Should they have remote classes? They don't want to do the remote classes, but they're saying that everybody should go and report to school. But they keep having these outbreaks and schools keep getting closed. So this
Mm.
this this article right here in the Amsterdam News speaks about this, and it's dated the 23rd of September. It's by Stephen Johnson. It says school year starts with anger and classroom closures, right? And it says the disruption of a classroom closing 3 days after school began due to COVID exposure is annoying, said Tamika Hall, a parent of three school-aged children. Not only that, the DOE policy of still sending siblings of exposed children to school makes zero sense. They have no policy in place for cross-contamination, and that is
Mm.
a huge misstep when trying to control the spread. Parents have to do the work. This week, critics and parents' worst fears came true when classrooms were closed along with one entire school because of the suspected confirmed positive COVID test. According to the Department of Education statistics, as of Tuesday evening, there were 1,487 confirmed cumulative positive COVID cases between
Mm.
September 13th and September 21st. Of those, 985 were students. There were 170 students recorded as of September 21st alone. One school, PS 79 in East Harlem, had to close completely after 19 positive COVID cases.
Mm. Mm.
According to
Mm.
Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer, most of the positive cases could be traced back to preschool orientation. So, what does New York City Mayor de Blasio think about this? Stay the course. There's not a perfect algorithm or chart, the mayor said. It really depends on the individual circumstances. Remember those twin imperatives that I feel strongly. President Biden has enunciated, the CDC has enunciated, health and safety first and maximum school attendance. So we're always trying to figure out where the balance point is, and has to be done looking at all the facts, whether there's a way to keep a certain number of people in school while keeping them safe, or whether full closure is needed. There is some good news. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul released numbers that show that 82.8% of New Yorkers 18 and above have at least one dose of the vaccination, and 74.3% of all adults have been fully vaccinated. Wow.
Mm.
So this is what's going on. You got this bounce back and forth between should they all go to school? then people getting infected with the virus, then them having to close classrooms, close schools, but people should still be going to school. And it's just a circle of conversation that many of us are like, I don't feel it. I told my daughter, listen, I really don't think it's safe for you to go to school. I don't know. And I spoke to her guidance counselor and I asked her if they were going to have some type of mix situation where some people would be able to come in remote and some people would be able to attend classrooms. And she said that that's not something that they're doing at this time.
Yeah, so that's terrible, right? They really should provide some kind of hybrid education. I mean, I'm very grateful that at this point I don't have to endure this because my parenting has ceased in terms of having young ones. But I have to say, I think every parent should really take their own judgment into consideration when it comes to their child's education as well as their child's health and wellness. Parents should not feel forced or feel like they must, send their children to school. And it's almost like you're exposing them to something that's, you're exposing them to death almost, And so, no one should be forced to do that. So it's unfortunate. And I deal with this a lot. I have a lot of parents, single moms who talk with me and that's their biggest concern is the vaccination shot. Should their kid get it or not? They're afraid of any repercussions. They don't mind being the guinea pig, but when it comes to their children, it's a whole nother ball game. Right. And that's understandable. The fear that comes behind it is completely 100% understandable, considering that the CDC and the mayor really doesn't make things a little bit easier in terms of your child's education and health. It's like, send your kid to school, yeah, but now they're sick, they're exposed to sickness, So, I mean, we got to use our own judgment. Use your own judgment. If you feel your child it's not going to be conducive in the community that you're in, and the numbers are high, use your own judgment in terms of your child's wealth.
Absolutely. So, inside of this house, right? My husband and I, we would have certain discussions, and I swear to you not, days later, it's like it's being broadcasted. So I would like to put this out in the air, and I hope they're listening. Somebody listening. Somebody will start up, write a letter or something to this effect. But I believe if they have 20 children in the classroom, at least have 10, because you're in the class, because you're able to separate those 10 and because it depends on how big the classroom is, and have 10 inside on Zoom. Now, the 10 that I'm talking about are the 10 that might be having trouble with the assignments, because those are the ones who kind of need the assistance, versus the 10 that they would love to have in the classroom. That's A students. Those A students could be on the Zoom because they know the equipment. I mean, they know the assignment, they know the work, and just put it on Zoom and have a full active class with the teacher at the board or whatever he or she is doing to get the assignment out there. I mean, I don't think they should have a whole 20 amount of children inside the classroom. That it doesn't make sense at all. So Catherine just put up there, yes, exactly, independent thinking, yes, vaccines, yes, our high school had 4 positive since August.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I worry because my daughter actually has asthma, and I really don't want to see her in a place where she's exposed to it. She actually is kind of sheltered because they live out in the sticks, so she's not even really encountering a lot of people who have exposure to the virus or whatever. So when she goes to school is when she gets the most encounter with people. So I'm like really concerned, and she's really concerned about going back and forth to the school where they're not even, she said it's not even good airflow in the school that she's going to. So, these are some things that we're definitely going to have to go to these school board meetings and speak about. You've seen all of these disaster meetings lately in the news where people have been speaking up. I'm not going to say they're disaster meetings, but it seems like they're playing up the concerns that people have in a negative way, right? Like
Mm.
people are being more troublesome than actually speaking about what they're concerned about in these schools. And it's just an ongoing thing. So we're gonna have to go to these schools. We're going to have to speak at these school board meetings. We're going to have to go to the city council, the town boards. We're going to have to be way more active than we have been in the past when it comes to all of these issues. So that's just one issue that I wanted to bring up. The
And I
second,
do want to say really quickly, I'm so sorry.
okay,
For anyone who have your fears in order. And I got that from Queen Lowe. She always talked about putting your affairs in order. Make sure your will and your paperwork is right, because today you here and today you could be gone. You know, it used to be today's you here, tomorrow's you gone. No, today you here and later on you could be gone. So make sure you put your affairs in order, your life insurance, your paperwork, do all of those things. And I got that from our our queen, our I'm kind of, you know, I
yes,
spoke to her today and she's in the hospital.
she's not feeling so.
So she's not doing too well. I mean, she will be all right, because with everybody's prayers, we definitely need prayer out going healing to go her way. And I'm rocking because I'm trying not to cry, but
Let's just say
whew,
keep her in your thoughts and reach out to
yeah,
her. If you have her
yeah,
number, reach out to her, let her know that you love her and that we're here for her support. We can't get into too much about the information or what's going on with her, but reach out to her if you know Queen Low, and make sure that you know that she knows that you have her in your thoughts, right?
yeah.
So
That's excellent.
speaking of that, there's a sister that is actually
Ugh.
missing right now. um she has been missing. She got over COVID, and they said that she has been missing since she got out of the hospital. I don't know if everybody heard about it. It was in the news in the last few days. But then they were saying that she was found. And this sister is Kelly Price, right? Everybody know Kelly Price. Kelly Price is actually the singer that sung More Money, More Problems.
Mm.
Queen, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually the singer that sung More Money, More Problems, and they didn't show her in the video because of, she was kind of, she's heavy set, but she's since lost weight and she's, going back and forth. But anyway, long story short, she wound up catching COVID over the summer. She was in the hospital, and then she came out of the hospital, and now they're saying that her family is saying that they don't know where she's at. So this
Right.
article was in the Grio, right? And it says Kelly Price's sister says she's still missing despite reports that state otherwise. Um, the following day, it says as a caption, the following day on Instagram story from performance coach Sarah Mornell was reposted to Kelly's account. Miss Price claiming the two were in contact on September 25th, and claims of the caller, who self-identified as Kelly's sister, are fabrication. So we not knowing, like, the media reports and whatever is going back and forth, but some people are saying she's been found. Some people are saying that she hasn't. So it says despite a previous report from singer Kelly Price's legal representative that Kelly was safe and recovering in private after she said she was said to be missing in Georgia following her release from the hospital after battling COVID-19. The singer was still missing as of Friday, September 24th, according to women claiming to be her sister. A
Mm.
caller who identified as Shanvray Price, Kelly's oldest sister, called into Larry Reed Live Radio show on Friday to dispute a claim from Kelly's legal representative. Reported earlier that day that the singer was safe and recovering privately after she was deemed missing in Georgia following her release from the hospital after battling COVID-19. I'm just asking everybody to pray. Shan Race reportedly said, I understand the attorney is stating that my sister is okay. We don't know anything until we physically see her.
Mm-hmm.
You all know her history. My sister is a very visible person, Shan Ray continued. We haven't heard anything from her in months. This is unlike her. No one has heard from her. However, the following days, on September 25th, an Instagram story from performance coach Sarah Mornell was reposted in Kelly's account, claiming the two were in contact on September 25th. So this is an ongoing story, and the reason why I really wanted to bring light to this story is not just because Kelly Price is a celebrity, but I think that this speaks to what we need to have in place as a people when it comes to what we're going through with this pandemic and people being in and out of the hospital and so forth and so on. One thing that my mother told me when I was away in prison, and I was all the way by Canada somewhere in Clinton Correctional Facility. And my mother, she came to see me. The ride is maybe 5 or 6 hours. And I told her, listen, you don't have to come all the way up here to come see me, right? Just, me being able to get on the phone. And then she taught me the true meaning of love. My mother said, there is no place on this planet where I would not go to see you physically and make sure that you are okay. And that's what showed me the true meaning of love. Not just, check in, send a text or this or that. No, I want to see you physically and make sure that you are okay. And that's what I think Kelly Price's family is saying out here right now. Her sister is basically saying, okay, y'all are saying or reporting, y'all lawyers, whoever y'all are reporting that she's okay, but we want to see her physically.
Mm-hmm.
And until we do that, then we're not saying that she's okay.
Right.
So what do y'all say about that?
I just hope that they give her as much exposure as they've provided Gabby Petito, because both are just as necessary and just as important. And we definitely need to delve a little bit more into this story. And and I'm praying that this is not going to be a cry of wolf or anything like that, because we don't need any more of those kind of images out there. We need to be able to know what the story is. We want to be able to support her, back her up, and let it be true. So, and so, I know my heart goes out. When I heard the story break, I was, speechless. And it was something about her boyfriend, and then, he's not allowing them her family to see her.
What?
Yeah, that's what was written in the other news that I was reading, and it was just really ridiculous. And there's so much ambiguity going around this story. So I'm looking forward to, and I'm praying that Kelly comes out very quickly, very soon, and she is well, and she comes out and tells her truth and her story.
Absolutely. I did post something on my page where it's a Caucasian woman and she's missing, and you got all the media all around her, or the family is she's missing, but anybody else, other race, they're behind that individual and say she's missing, but nobody's not talking about that. Everybody's always rushing to talk about this over here, but not talking about the other races, because
See,
it's not just a black race, it's other races of women or men that get snatched up.
Absolutely. I think the numbers alone is like up to 15,000 just this year alone. One of the things we have to be mindful of too, excuse me, everybody. One of the things we have to be really mindful of is that, we have to be able to have Black media. We need our own media out there to be able to tell our stories, to be able to share what's going on in our community. We cannot rely and depend on mainstream media
That's right.
to tell our stories. And that's one of the great things about Thoughts Magazine. That's one of the great things about, Speak on a Podcast with the Alis and all the other great Black and brown medias that's out there on YouTube streaming or what have you, because we have to tell our stories. We have to keep pounding so that we could tell our own narrative. Because if you look at mainstream media, we're not getting the love that other cultures get. And Kelly deserves to have as much media surrounding her as anyone else right now. The whole world should know, not just Kelly Price, the singer, but Kelly Price is potentially missing. Everyone should know that and everyone should be out on a prowl looking and trying to figure out what's going on with her well-being right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much for sharing that. I definitely was on that, and I usually don't post stuff about celebrities. But this one right here, right after the Gabby one, I was like, why is it that nobody's not talking about this one here? So I posted, and then we just start following the story. I saw that Guy Fisher said that he's been following the story. Gail Fisher, if you hear us, later on when we open up, would you call in and talk about what you actually heard about Kelly Price? So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
It's crazy. He said this too. He said CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Gayle King, all of these new stations are not covering this issue.
Wow.
Fox News of all stations that brought
Wow.
this issue up. And you know what's crazy? Because it's Guy Fisher, not Gail Fisher.
Oh,
Yeah,
Guy
it's
Fisher.
crazy that Fox News, they covered the situation with Nicki Minaj as well. With
Mm-hmm.
her going back and forth. We're not even gonna get into that right now. But just I'm noticing that maybe they're trying to do a finesse with the black people in culture just to get them back on that side of the fence, or what it is, but they're covering issues that concern our communities at this point. So we don't know. They all use us at some point. But what I want to say is this: what you said is so important a little while ago. Make sure that your affairs are in order. Who is your emergency contact? Who is the person that will be responsible for your affairs if something happens to you? And make sure there's always somebody that knows your whereabouts. Whereas if you even send somebody a text, oh, I'm going to this person's house,
That's
or
right.
I'm going to the hospital, or even if I'm going to the store sometime. Right now, in the times that we are in, you need at least one person to know where you're going and be able to put some accountability of your whereabouts. What
That's
y'all
right.
think about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's well
Okay.
said. Well said.
So before we get into the interview, we're just gonna have a quick commercial break, and then we come back and we're gonna get into everything about Ms. Nijaah Howard, Thoughts Magazine, Young Men Strong, and all of the stuff that is gonna be important for many years to come, right? Because Thoughts Magazine, I think, is gonna be at the forefront of the culture in future years. And it's gonna expand. And I wrote an article. Listen, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. All right. So I'll talk to y'all soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh goodness. What's going on? Oh man. Technical difficulties.
This is what happens when you do everything ourselves, right?
Right. I need a
It's all good.
I need a producer.
It's all good. You got it.
Here we go.
surrounds women in all walks of life, trying to get their life together, knowing that we don't need men to hurt us. We love ourselves first. You love yourself first, everything else will come after that. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this organization, WAPW. And
bunch of queens from WAPW that I can turn to anytime, day or night, and my queens have my back.
We are back. We are back. If you're just tuning in, this is Speak Your Mind podcast with the Alis. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are back. Speak Your Mind podcast with the Alis. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Speak Your Mind podcast with the Alis. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Also, make sure that you like our business page on Facebook. That's I Am Phenomenal Unlimited LLC. I Am Phenomenal Unlimited LLC is a consulting, facilitating, merchandising organization working out of the New York City area. That Speak Your Mind podcast is part of the things that we are bringing to the people. We're also dealing with merchandise. As you've seen, the Call Me King Not Nigga line is in effect right now. So we definitely going to have the t-shirts, jackets, so forth and so on. We're also doing facilitating and consulting with nonprofits who want to develop their businesses. But today, what we're here to talk about today is Miss Nijaah Howard. As if you're just tuning in, we have Nijaah Howard in the building. She is the editorial director of Thoughts Magazine. Everybody,
Yes.
give some love to Nijaah Howard.
Yes.
So that's Thoughts Magazine right there. That's what's up. So yeah.
Yes. This is where we recognize beautiful Black and brown men and men of color. This is the Essence magazine for Black men and men of color. So we put love into this. So let's just jump in. What's up? What you got for me?
Well, I'm gonna yield to the beautiful queen so she can ask the first question, and then I'll follow up.
So, Ms. Nijaah, tell us about who you are. Tell our audience, who is Nijaah Howard?
Oh my! I will say, Sharnice is so funny because I'm normally the one asking the questions. so it was, so it is. It's a little amazing to be on the opposite side of the table. But when you ask who Nijaah is, first off, I'm a child of God.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. I'm a visionary. I'm a problem solver. My character has always been to help,
Mm-hmm.
to invest, to give back, and to be of service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a true believer that what you put out into the universe, it will come back to you.
Absolutely.
And I'm a very blessed to have been able to experience and understanding the power of my Heavenly Father, so much so, and his undying, unconditional love for me, that it has catapulted me in a direction to giving back to those who are where I have been. So with that, I restore Black family nucleuses by providing services to families that consist of single women who are raising sons on their own, as well as men of color.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that video just now, it really touched and resonated with me because I too have a background of domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
which was powerful in leading to finding my purpose, to helping our young men and our grown adult men of color. So yeah, that's who I am.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. I'm so grateful that we're able to have you and the brothers last week because now we're able to get to know who you are instead of somebody who's always so busy. We just know the busy side of everybody, but we don't know who is that person that stay busy. So I thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Now we know a little bit more about you.
So
Absolutely.
what else is your vocation? Because I think you do more than just the magazine. What is your vocation?
Well, I'm very big on helping single mothers, especially those who are raising sons alone, and that's how I adopted the name the Single Moms Coach, because I
Mhm.
am a coach, and who takes empowering single women who just need a little support in finding their voice, finding their courage, their confidence, to overcome those negative stereotypes that we all have come to learn and hear, such as only a man can raise a man, or women cannot raise men. I'm very, very focused on helping mothers to find their voice and their courage in spite of those negative, antiquated stereotypes that indicate that they're not qualified to do the job. And
Mhm.
they are.
Mhm.
Moms are more than qualified to raise successful men. And I think it's very important that we help them dig deep to
Mhm.
find all the right tools. And that's what I do with my program at Young Men Strong. Um, Statistically speaking, in the Pew reports, 86% of households in the United States have been run by women. And
Mhm.
um, outside of that, 70% of that have been primarily African American households.
Mhm.
Um, and without the support, the village of ethical father figures around, um, it does make it it's a little bit easier for your son to feel abandoned or feel not supported or um, not guided, and so they're seeking their identity and their manhood, and oftentimes it's the street.
Mhm.
And so what I've done with Young Men Strong is provided a safe space, a village for young men, um, ages 10 to 24, to be exposed to professional male leaders and businessmen in the community, and really
Mhm.
take them under their wing and help them transition into manhood when all they see is their mom every day. So
That's beautiful. Wow.
yeah, so that's what I do, and I
Mhm.
make that connection, because what we need to understand is that Black men are the missing link to stabilization in the
Mhm.
African American families, and they're also um, the primary reason behind racial survival.
Mhm.
And so if we don't cultivate, mold, shape, and help our young men to understand their worth and their value, then it breaks down the Black family nucleus.
Right.
Hmm.
And so um, that's why I created Young Men Strong, so
Mhm.
that young men will understand that when I say strong, strong is not all in the physical.
Mhm.
It's in the mental, it's in the emotional, it's in
Mhm.
the verbal, it's in the psychological, it's in the financial.
Mhm.
Strong, young
Right.
men strong. That's what we need to build. That's what we're doing. And that's what I do.
I love that. It's funny when we went to visit our siblings a couple of weeks ago. I saw something that my sister had did with my nephew. Our nephew. She and it was something. It was something simple, but these are lessons. So she told him take out the garbage, but in the process of taking out the garbage, put another garbage bag inside the garbage pail. And I'm just watching. And remind you, he's only, I think he's about 6 years old. If I'm not mistaken, my sister, she's on, so hopefully she correct me if I'm wrong. And what he did was he tied the knot in the garbage bag and put it around the garbage pail. And I was just like, wow, look at that. You know,
Mhm.
so then we had our grandson here a couple of days ago, and my husband did the same thing. He gave, he said, "Do you know about this?" So he was like, "Yeah, I know about that." He's 6 years old, and it was just so funny. He put the garbage bag over the garbage pail, but we was trying to get him to understand to tie the bag and this and this and that. And it was just so cute. These are little lessons
Yes.
that and like when you said mold, these are
Yes.
little lessons to mold them into step by steps life lessons, or things that you might come across. It just it I watched that. It was like it touched my heart. I say
Yeah.
that it touched my
Yes.
heart. So
Yes.
now we doing that with our grandson, helping him pick up the broom and dustpan and sweep up your area, or even take off your sneakers and put them in the shoe rack. He already know that.
Yes.
I tell him, "What do you do when you come in?" He take off his sneakers and put it in the rack, put it on top of the rack. Then he go in there and wash his hands.
Yes.
So these are little lessons of teaching our young babies how to be great men in the future. As long
Absolutely.
as we continue the lessons, continue so I
So,
appreciate that. Yeah.
so one of my things is that it's so important that, and it goes twofold, right? It's so important that men give credit to women who are doing the damn thing and raising sons into productive men. It is important that men do that. But it's also important for moms to understand that it takes nothing away from you when you share your son with an ethical professional male leader who
Mm-hmm.
is there to offer them manhood and help them to transition into manhood. In my experience, um, neither one is better than the other. Both are necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are missing one of the parents,
Mm-hmm.
that does not give you permission to uh, go out and um, act a fool in the street, or um, walk around feeling uh, less than or unqualified or incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important that we instill in our moms that if you feel that you're not qualified, then your son is going to experience vicarious trauma and start
Mm-hmm.
to see that exact same behavior witnessed through you.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, you have planted a seed into them, and they will grow up into a young man who still doesn't feel subconsciously that he is ever enough. And he
Oh.
will always say that I feel damaged, or
Mm-hmm.
my mother did the best that she can,
Mm-hmm.
versus giving you credit for doing what you needed to do and how you needed to do it. So in my program, it's called 13 E's T's. And I help mothers and sons it's a 6-week empowerment program to really understand 3 main things. Number 1, accountability and
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. So important that each, the mother and the son, both understand what um, taking accountability and responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and how that impacts each other as
Mm-hmm.
a family,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you are enough. So you got to be very careful how you package your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing we do is how to obligate yourself to the ones that you love. It's so important that we help our sons understand that when you are the when you are in a household with your mom, you
Mm-hmm.
must do responsibilities. As you said, your grandson your nephew knew how to wrap up the
Mm-hmm.
garbage. It's so important that they understand those things, so that if anything happens to you, they can pick up where you left off.
Absolutely.
You have to teach your sons how to be responsible, how to be independent in the event anything happens to you. So it's all about teaching how to obligate themselves to the ones that they love. Give him responsibility so that he can learn to love his children the way that you loved him. It's very
Absolutely.
important.
So
The
That
third
is.
thing,
Wow.
the third thing that we teach is finishing what you start. It's so important that when moms do something, start it. I don't care if it's making a quilt. When you start it, let your son see the completion of it so that he understands that no matter what he does in life, whether it's going to school, going to work, becoming a husband or a father, he needs to understand that when he starts a project, whatever that is, he has to finish it to its completion. So those are the three main things that we are very, very focused on in the 13 E's T's program for mothers and sons.
I'm not even up front. My father told me, he told me one day, he was like, son, you never finished anything. And when he told me that, I said, you know what? You're right. I haven't finished a lot of things. Like a lot of times I start something and my mind will wander off. They say I had ADD. That's what they said. But I think that's a conspiracy within itself. But we're not here to talk about that. But anyway, they said, he said that you never finished anything. And I think about it. I started when I got out of high school. I went to a music school, the Institute of Audio Research. Some stuff went on. I wound up leaving that. I went to college a couple semesters, started that, wound up leaving that, went to work for a couple jobs, wound up leaving those. It's like my mind always will wander off. But when he said that, that was like, you know what? I'm going to show you that I can complete something, right? And from that point on, I went to get that associate's degree. And I brought that home to them and I gave it to them. Yeah, I completed that. Hold that down. Then I went back and got that bachelor's degree. And then I went back and got that master's degree. Because I don't want anybody to say you never completed anything anymore to me. So I definitely wanted to make sure that whatever I set out to do, I put a 5-year plan in place so that I can make sure that I'm just checking off the marks as I go. So we had a comment from a brother that's tuning in. His name is Guy Fish that you spoke about earlier. He said, believe it or not, street dudes push me to educate myself and to eradicate these injustices that have plagued us for decades. They expressed that Harlem has enough going nowhere people and that we needed voices and places to help provide a better education system, living situations, and to show other youth that it is possible to something other than selling drugs. I agree with him wholeheartedly when it comes to that, because I know that although I have my father in my life, because of the things that I've been through and going out there and getting involved in the street economy, I created a situation where my children, now they didn't have a father in their life for 9 years, right? And we definitely don't want to create that type of ongoing cycle. So that's why I think what you're doing is so important when it comes to this Young Men Strong. So we're gonna go on though to talk about the magazine now. So my question to you is, tell the audience about Thoughts Magazine. Are you the founder? Did you ever think that you would give birth to a magazine? And where did the idea come from? That's a 3-part question.
That's a great question, Brother Ali. First of all, Thoughts Magazine is the #1 educational resource guide specifically designed to increase literacy, to build self-worth, and provide information to young and adult men of color. The publication is classy, it's top of the line, got great quality, because this is how I want young brothers to see themselves. When you talk Black excellence, you can't just talk it, you have to demonstrate it. So I demonstrate it through everything I do with Young Men Strong. I started Thoughts Magazine after the murder of Trayvon Martin in 2012. And, as a single mom raising my son, I was beyond devastated at the whole situation. And I didn't want my son to ever think mainstream media is where he should be able to define himself. I wanted to combat those internal struggles that he was not enough, and also how he interpreted other people seeing him. So when I went to bed that night, I was crying my eyes out. I was sad. I felt hopeless. I felt helpless. And I went to bed with my pillow filled with tears. When I woke up the next morning, clear as day, it was imperative that I needed to create a publication specifically designed to empower our young Black and brown boys and men of color. So I got on, before I even got on the computer, I remember saying to God, I don't know what you want me to do with this, God, because I'm not a publisher. I am a mental health professional, and I don't know any of this media stuff. And God said, clear as day, but obedience is greater than sacrifice. So because I'm a child of God and I believe in the power of his word, I did the work, regardless of how it was going to turn out. I reached out to complete strangers on my computer, and every stranger I got in contact with was exactly who I needed to bring the first issue of Thoughts magazine to life. And it's been growing successfully ever since. And all I can say is God is behind all of that.
Excellent. I can't hear you, Queen. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I put myself on mute. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Right now, these days and times, people is like, they're hearing, well, if you don't get the jab, you're gonna lose your job, right? So my thing is, we didn't need the manual to build whatever it is that we build for this country, right? So you gave your you meditated, I'm sure you did, and you sat back, you said, you asked the Heavenly Fathers, what can I do? Direct me, even though you had all that already in you, because guess what? You start reaching out to people. If you didn't do your network, sometimes people would just call you. But once again, networking with people will help bring in those people. Ask a question. Somebody knows somebody that would direct you. So I think we get so caught up on working the 9 to 5 or working for somebody else because we don't have the time to do certain things for ourselves.
Right.
You brought light and life into your Thoughts magazine, and you realize that I'm going to talk about this subject because this subject is not being spoke about, and you brought life to it, and I commend you for that. Big ups to Thoughts magazine, big ups to your hands, your mind, your soul, big ups to you for bringing this whole this thought into life,
And
right? Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say too, a lot of people say, print is dead. I'd like to combat that and say, even though we are digital, definitely check us out online. But I want to say that print is not dead. I cannot stress that to you enough. And one of my greatest mentors back in the day, she is a huge billionaire. She has like all these publications and queens, and all over pretty much New York City's boroughs. And she made it very clear to me that print is not dead. In addition to that, I wanted to just say that we must bring back literacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's imperative that we don't teach our children that laughing out loud is spelled LOL. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to make reading sexy again.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing more attractive than a brother opening up a book
Mm-hmm.
or a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
It's sexy. It's attractive. It's something that women are attracted to. So for brothers to go out there, get your copy of Thoughts magazine. Sit on the train, the bus, be in the store, have it in your back pocket. But there's nothing more attractive than a brother who knows how to open up a book and actually impart information into his soul, not just always staying on multimedia. Staying on mainstream media, you don't get an opportunity to mark those comments that meant something to you, or crease the paper, or go back to it, or say, you know what, I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna put it on my coffee table and get back to it. There's nothing like it. And every interview that I do with the brothers out here, I interview in a week's time, I could easily interview maybe 8 to 10, maybe even 15 brothers in a week's time for the issues of Thoughts magazine. And when I see how their faces light up every time they know that they're going to be on the front cover, or their words of wisdom is going to be like Brother Ali opened up in the beginning, of how today's a day of wisdom. When they know that they're able to impart wisdom into the next generation of young men, there's nothing more gratifying, because Thoughts magazine creates space for you to share your thoughts, increase your writing skills, as well as receive education, information, and resources of local businesses and agencies and programs that are catered to your well-being right here in your community. So instead of looking at, celebrities on television, there's celebrities right in your own community, right next door to you. You just don't know it. And so that's what Thoughts magazine does. I bring to life the brother who's right next door to you, who you didn't even know. You bypass him every day, but he's a mastermind and a powerhouse.
Amen to that.
You know what's crazy about that is, I remember back in the days, right? I used to make a lot of trips to the city. I wasn't doing the right thing. But regardless to that, though, right? When I would come back, like, I would always pass through 125th, and I would grab me some magazines, a book bag, and something so I could read it on the bus, right? So I would get, sometimes I might get Feds magazine or Don Diva. They had articles and stuff like that in there, right? That I could read on the bus or whatever, But nowadays, just recently, my wife is studying for an MBA course, and I needed to get a business magazine for her while she was getting her hair done, so she could have a article to read for her class or whatever. So I'm walking up and down 125th Street, and all the newsstands and stores on 125th Street do not offer any quality magazines. The only magazines that they had were like straight stunting and smooth booty magazines, basically, right? That's all they had in all of the newsstands. And I'm asking them, like, yo, do you have any business magazines or anything thought-provoking? They don't have any of that. The only place I was able to get Harvard Business Review, and it was $20, I might say, is from Whole Foods.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I had to go all the way to Whole Foods just to get a magazine of any substantial quality reading. And this is the state that people don't. When people look at education and people look at the culture, they don't look at infrastructure, right? They don't look at how is your neighborhood set up and situated that's not conducive to education or not conducive to provoke thought. And these are the things that I think we need to bring more attention to, because if you just want to grab a magazine so you can, like, let's say Thoughts magazine, you're not going to be able to find that on 125th Street. You're not going to be able to find other thought-provoking magazines in your neighborhood. Where can you go to get these things?
Mm.
Before they
Exactly.
used to be abundant.
Right.
Exactly. And and that's the thing too. It's like one of the great and cool things about thoughts is that it's double-sided. So on one side is the men's and on the other side is the woman's. So it's
Mm-hmm.
one magazine, but you get two. So you're getting two for one.
Mm.
And the awesome part about that is that we focus on one theme. So whatever that theme is that we're focused on, you get to hear the perspectives of both parties. And now we're increasing effective communication because now both parties are understanding where you come from. And now in the relationship, you'll be able to address and approach things differently because now you understand where it comes from that particular gender. So it's so important that us, in order to reduce the divorce rate and in the Black community, we have to learn how to communicate effectively. So Thoughts Magazine is not just a literary tool or educational tool or resource and information product, but it's also intentionally designed to empower the Black family nucleus and help strengthen our communication skills. We must learn how to not just always be so quick to talk, but we also have to be so willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And what Thoughts Magazine does is it gives you an opportunity to build your literacy, but also listen to how other men might be thinking on this particular topic, or what are women thinking about this particular topic. So I know one issue, this fall issue that just came out is the health, wellness, fitness, and sports issue. And we're talking about, what does that look like for the man and for the woman? And so this builds our community. This builds our communication between men and women. We must bring back the Black family nucleus.
Amen to that. Wow. So, by me being domestic violence educator, yes, we do got to bring that back, but most of us is so quick to jump into a relationship because we want to bring back the man and woman and child. But remind you, it's so much stuff that's going on in the household that we're not realizing that is a toxic one. So that's, my part when I said tea time with Mrs. Ali. Those are the things that I definitely will be speaking on. And, yes, build back, but we need to build ourselves up, because if you don't feel like a king, if you don't feel like a queen, you're not going to wear nothing that's going to represent that, so build up our mindset. We've been put down so much from family, from mothers, from fathers, and that's where it stemmed from. And then you go out in the community and find somebody like yourself and don't even understand that you just found somebody who's just like you. So I see that Mr. Ali is putting these beautiful pictures of Thoughts Magazine, um, beautiful Black men, which is my color, the texture. We actually have a couple of the Shawana issue, and it looks. Listen, your magazine is so nice. The quality is everything. It's not the fling flang paper. You got that thick paper, so you put that time in, and in your magazine. But I just want you, now this is an interesting piece, right? So I want you to get into one of the best interview you had and one of the worst interview you had. So
And you don't have to say any names.
yeah, you don't have to say no names. You have to say no names. No. But I would like for you to tell us, because listen, at the end of the day, we're going to come across some people that difficult people, and you're going to be like, oh my goodness. So yeah, don't say no name, but just give us one of the good old stories.
Absolutely. Well, before we even jump into that, I just want to tip tap on what you previously said. It's so important that we know who we are first.
Mm-hmm.
Self-love is everything.
Everything.
Especially for single moms who are raising children alone. I also have a YouTube channel called Let's Talk Over T's. And T's is an acronym for Training, Educational Advocacy, and Support. It's a YouTube program for single parents who are raising children on their own. So we have lawyers that we talk to. We talk about co-parenting. We talk about anything that's revolved around single parenting and the challenges and tribulations that leads to, and what can we do to find solutions. And so when it comes to self-love, when it comes to self-love, that's everything. So you must love yourself first before you begin incorporating new people into your space. And that's the great part about Thoughts Magazine, is that when you're reading it, you're learning how to build your self-worth up. You're learning how to build competency in your ability to complete a project, but you're also learning the other perspective. So now you can determine, are you ready for a relationship? These are questions you have to ask yourself before you jump into anything. So
absolutely.
So yes, and so when you ask me about my favorite story and my worst, one of my favorites, I will share his name, and I've interviewed thousands of beautiful Black and brown men in the New York State tri-state area, between New York, Connecticut, and Jersey, and even all across the world. And I would have to say one of my most valuable and invigorating of them all that I really appreciated, and they all come so beautifully. It's almost like being in a candy store. You got your bubble gum, you got your Now and Laters, you got your Skittles, you got your, and they all good. So, so there is no one is better than the other. They all good. All that candy, all that flavor is all good. Right?
That's right.
But I have to say that the one that really piqued my interest and really made my hair stand up and even made me emotional, and I think this is probably the first time I've ever cried in an interview, is when I interviewed Mr. Tony Porter. He is the founder of A Call to Men. And what made this so invigorating and so profound for me is that he is very intentional on the importance of honoring and respecting women, while also providing space for men to learn new ways and a new approach to manhood, and not follow the societal constructs that divide the Black family and break the Black family down. And so hearing him speak it opened me up, because I can't stress it enough how important it is for young brothers and adult men to start honoring and respecting the value of women. Because women are the ones who are raising the children. And if they're raising the children, you want them to be able to pour that energy into the children that they're raising, so that they can grow up understanding their value and their worth. It's so important. And I'm just going based off of statistics. I'm not going based off the fact that, listen, there are, a plethora of Black and brown men who, statistically wise, from 1928 until present, the statistics for Black and brown men have practically doubled, more than 50%, in terms of them being in the home and being great co-parents and being present there every single day, 365 days a year. So I want to be very clear that when I'm speaking about some of the guys, it's not going to fit everybody's shoe.
Right.
Okay. But we must do better in terms of how we honor and respect the woman, because 86% of the households are typically run by the women. So if you're telling women that she's not enough, she's not capable, she's not qualified, she's not good, that energy is going to pour into the children who grows up to be in that same mindset. So we have to end the transgenerational cycles of curses of downplaying each other by lifting each other up. So that was one of my most profound interviews. The next one that was I would say that was probably my worst was a PhD, a brother who has his PhD, and I'll never forget how he when I had one of my writers to transcribe his interview, it didn't come out quite the way he wanted it to, and he went ballistic. He went ballistic, and his demeanor and all that professionalism went out the door.
Wow.
And the article wasn't even bad. It just didn't mention all of his accolades. So I had to, of course, reword it and fix it up because I'm a professional writer. That's what I do. But in doing that, he had this attitude that was just unbelievable and unacceptable. And all I know is that once I shared his story and I revised it, I didn't want to deal with that anymore, because that
bet. That was just too much. I know. Listen, I definitely understand. That's why I asked you this question, because, you know, you try to be as professional as you can, but people will really take you there. I just recently hung up on somebody because they said certain things, and I was just like, whoa, not right now. You know, so you gotta, you know, at the end of the day of trying to be, we are professional people. People still test you, you know, and remind you, I'm a Harlem Night. So it's like,
it's like,
woo,
don't make
me right. All of this about to come out. So it was just like click, you know, and I think that was the best thing for me to do, because I explained, you know, okay, you taking me there, and the person just kept going and saying a whole bunch of stuff, and it was just like, you know what, time out, click, you know. And if she's watching my Facebook, that's what happened, shorty. So with that being said,
yeah.
So that's why I said, you know what, let me ask you that question. Like, how do you handle difficult people? You know, because people would try you, and then they would get on social media and talk horrible about you, but not even talk about what you did to them. I mean, you know, not you, but what the individual did to you, and what did they say to you, and how they made you feel. Because remind you, we got feelings too.
Right, exactly. And
So,
you know, it's so important, you know, that you say that. You know, one of my strongest skills is listening. And I'm a trained listener, because my profession as a mental health counselor, not only do I hear your words and what you say, but I also hear what you want to say, but you're not saying. And so with that, I can repeat back almost verbatimly what you actually said, and also what you actually feel. And so the difficulty comes in that I don't usually get that same thing reciprocated. People don't listen, and they don't listen effectively. They only hear themselves, and they justify their thought process even when it's wrong. So I've learned to handle difficult clients by stepping back, right? Because first of all, I understand that my level of understanding is a lot higher. So because of that, I don't have to engage in any debate.
right.
You know? So one of my other strong, powerful skills is writing. If I text you or if I email you, I'm going to say clearly exactly what happened in the part that you played
Mm-hmm.
and the areas of improvement that you need to make.
Mm. Okay. Good
Because
stuff.
a lot of people will, again, only defend their one thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you want to grow in life, if you want to be better, you have to be able to see another person's perspective, even if you don't
Absolutely.
agree with it.
Absolutely. That
So,
is a true fact. Mm-hmm.
so I encourage people, do better in your listening.
Mm-hmm.
And part of doing that is not thinking about what you're going to say next, but
Mm-hmm.
rather think about what the person is saying and how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that, because Dr. Maya Angelou said it best. People will not remember what you said,
Yep.
but they will
We'll
always
always
remember
remember.
how you made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're communicating with someone, don't be so quick to think about, what am I going to say? How am I going to say something next? Instead, stop your
Mm-hmm.
thought, listen to what they're saying and how you impacted them. And that's how we now are moving into a direction of taking accountability and responsibility for the things that we think, the things that we feel, and the things that we do.
So I see why you named it Thoughts Magazine.
Right.
Wow. So, that's very useful because listen, we deal with difficult people on a regular basis, it don't necessarily have to be interviewing. It could be just in interacting with our children, our siblings or our coworkers, our colleagues, all of that. We're going to come across difficult people, and then sometimes look at yourself. You might be the difficult person.
Exactly.
you know, um, I
and
would.
and then you have to
Mm,
learn how to take accountability. I'm sorry, I don't want to,
that's true.
but
That's true.
I'm so big on
Mm-hmm.
helping, especially single moms, right? One of the things we talk about in the program is learning how to, and for my young boys and my men too, we talk about, how do I effectively say I was wrong, I apologize?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? These are very, very simple things, but they're very hard for people to do.
Mm,
And I always encourage people, you're not going to always be right.
that's true.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're going to have to learn how to put your ego and your pride aside and learn how to say, I was wrong. I
Absolutely.
apologize. Do you forgive me?
Mm-hmm.
It won't happen again.
Mm,
But you got to learn the right steps so that another person can honestly forgive you. And now that window has been restored versus kind of slightly open, but not quite.
right. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. So,
Me, I had to step out real quick. I've had to
yeah.
step out real quick, but I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
I know you asked a few questions.
5 is up.
You did 5 already?
No, 5 is you.
Okay, bet. So what's coming up for you next? What's coming
Oh,
up for you next? I know you got a bright future ahead of yourself. Thoughts Magazine, Young Men Strong, all of the stuff you talked about today. What's coming up next? Because I know the sky's the limit.
absolutely. Well, I just finished publishing my second book, my anthology. My first one is Raising John's Boy. So if you haven't gotten that book already, it's for single moms who are raising sons alone. Definitely go get it wherever books are sold. Raising John's Boy. If you want to purchase it from me, I still have a couple in my slight warehouse. I could get them out to you. I can ship them out to all programs who are dealing with single mothers out there. The second book that just came out is actually called Dare to Be Authentic 6. So this book right here I poured my life into it. This gives you a real bird's eye view of when innocence gets arrested and sent to Rikers Island. That right there was, I'm chapter 1 definitely go out and purchase your copy of Dare to Be Authentic Volume 6. It will really give you a bird's eye view of what it's like to be purely innocent and thrust into a community that was really just hard to take and hard to accept. And so that's one of the things. So I'm still doing my virtual book signings. I have a couple of book signings coming up next week, Friday, October 1st, and I have another one coming up October 8th. Definitely come out, check me out on Facebook. You'll check out and see when those times are, when you can see my book signing. And I definitely want to get everyone in there and get them their own copy. My chapter is chapter 1. It's called 611 Spells Hell, and you'll find out all the details of what that looks like at that time. The second thing that's going on right now is I'm opening up a dog run in Southeast Queens, Jamaica.
Dog run?
I'm opening up a dog run.
Wow.
Yes, so I am looking for supporters right in the Southeast Queens, Jamaica area, Cambria Heights, Laurelton, Springfield, Rosedale, like those areas. I'm opening up a dog park, so I'm definitely looking for supporters. Again, check me out on Facebook to connect with me because I'm looking for people who are going to help me rally, get the politicians involved, and you know, all the people necessary. We're going to have a doggy day where we get all the people who love animals to come out and really rally around this mission to get dogs some good socialization and some community involvement. Just the third thing.
Hold up before you go. When
Yes.
you say a dog run, I'm thinking, you know, we had these 10K runs where people are running all around the city, and you have a whole bunch of people standing on the sideline cheering them on. What do you mean? Is this a long marathon for dogs? What do you mean a dog run?
So that's excellent. Great question. So in Southeast Queens, they don't have any dog parks. So they have a few pockets. But they're so far and few between that not everybody in these residencies are able to take their dogs. So they have to subject their dogs to a leash every time they want to walk them, or they have to keep them to only confined to their yard. But if they don't have one, then they're exposing them to the community, and the community is exposed to a dog bite or something like that. So it's really, this is really providing an opportunity for the community to really get their dogs out there and build a dog park so that their dogs can be free. Their dogs can run for a little while and just be able to socialize with other animals. In addition to that, it connects the community, because now the community is coming out and they're able to talk and connect with each other and build businesses and network and communicate. And so building a dog run is obviously, this is my first one to be built, but I see a couple of areas that could use them. And once our first one is successful, I'm going to be building up a couple more. So absolutely, I'm building a dog run. And so for those who are interested, please jump on board, support me, stand with me, and let's make this bad boy happen.
Wow.
Wow. So you like
That's
you
different.
like really a humanitarian. You like a Renaissance woman and all of that. You involved in so many different things. It's great. It's great to meet somebody who's definitely involved in a lot of things, because you know we do a lot of things as well, but you don't hardly see a lot of other people that are just delving into all of these different areas. So it's great to be in a business relationship with somebody that's doing something like that. So my last question is, we know people are watching, right? We know people are watching and people are encouraged by your words, but could you please give some encouraging words for people who want to start up their own magazine? Because I remember one time, at one point, I wanted to start a magazine. I had the name of the magazine and all of that stuff. And some of the things that you spoke about, as far as people saying that print media is dead, and you know, different the prices of the magazines going up and them not being available. A lot of different things deterred me from wanting to do that, and I got more involved in the digital side and now this podcasting with my wife and this, that, and the third. But give some encouraging words for people who do want to delve in that area.
Great question. Great question. You know, when I thought about that and I meditated on it, you know, what do you want people to really know and take away? And when it comes to not just starting a magazine, but when it comes to starting a business, when it comes to starting anything, when it comes to stretching yourself and exposing yourself to a whole new world of giving back, I can't make this any more simpler than this. The gift of receiving is in the giving. I'm going to say that again. The gift of receiving is in the giving. We must stop always looking to get things for free. And we also have to stop always charging people. We must learn how to give so that we can receive. It's just that simple. No matter what you're doing, whether it's starting a magazine, whether it's selling perfume, whether it's selling clothes, whether you're about to open up a school, whatever you're doing, you're going to be dealing with people. But if you are a person who believes in a higher power, please understand that the gift of receiving is in the giving. And I will leave it right there.
Excellent. So my brother Cat Fisher just posted that he's ready for change, but how does he get to put his individual experience to use? He doesn't have a college degree, but he has real life issues and he's dealing with some real things. So he would like to know if he can assist in any way. We also have a caller, so let's just stop that question for a second and let's see what the caller has to say.
Call from.
My name is Guy.
Okay, this is Guy right here.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello? Hello? I can't hear you. Are you there?
Yeah, I hear something.
Let me call him back. Go ahead. You can answer the question and I'll call him right back.
All right. So first of all, Guy's got a big heart. I met Guy a couple of months ago. Big heart. And there's a lot of men out there right now who are saying, hey, I don't have my degree. I don't have the proper education. I'm still dealing with, post-traumatic stress disorder or even prison traumatic stress disorder like Shawna Vaughn talks about. And there's so many different things that they're going through, but they want to know, how can I be of service? The first thing that I would encourage a lot of our men to do, if you want to give back and be of service, first give the service to yourself. First, absolutely, be of service to yourself. What does that mean? What does that look like? Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Peace, Guy. How you doing?
Peace. How are you, brother? What's going on?
Everything is good. The phone is kind of low. I don't know if y'all can hear. Can y'all hear him?
We can hear him.
Peace. So state your name and where you calling from, Guy.
My name is Guy. I'm calling from Harlem, New York.
Beautiful. So what would you like to speak with Nijaah Howard about today?
Well, first of all, I'd like to, big her up, because Nijaah's been a big part of my my growth process when it comes to making this change, because I'm the type of guy, roll your sleeves up, put your hands in the dirt, and let's see the flowers grow. I've also, I've watched my mom, my sister, my niece go through domestic violence situations. Led me to be like, I don't even, like, in my personal life, like, if I can't communicate, I walk away. If I see that communication is broke down, I kind of leave the situation and I walk away, because I believe that if it gets to the point where violence comes in, then where's the love, where's the understanding? So I leave that out. Also is that I respect Miss Nijaah Howard very much. And the thing is that I've been part of NAN right now, and I'm part of the Second Chance group. And I'm trying to do things with the Dope Fund and the Otley, because I was part of Obligate, and I was one of those adult children that went through, that seen my mom get beat up by my dad, watched my sister get beat up. And a lot of times in those places, a lot of kids in there between the ages of 10, when they're not 24, but like between 10 and 18. There's a lot of young men and women there right now. And my thing is to them is to reach out to them, to let them know that, listen, you know that the self-belief factor in themselves and the things that they want after life. Because one thing a lot of those places don't teach you is belief in self. I've been there, I've sat in those seats. And they sit back and they give you like what the book said. You know, the book says if you feed the rabbit long enough, you know where to come to get you.
Right.
So a lot of times they don't have the opportunities to grow, to gain ground in themselves and everything. And this is the things that I want to do. And I deal with Miss Howard because a lot of things she tell me I listen to. I went to DOFA and I tried to give a message. My wife wanted to record it, but I was using profanity in it because I got excited, you know, during my talking. I got to learn not to use profanity when I talk. But Miss Niger, I've watched my mom and like I said, my mom and everybody go through the domestic violence situations, and I know what it's like. And I know that you have to teach these young men, you have to catch them early. I believe also you have to catch the young women early. Because I believe that with my nieces, I tell them all the time, I say, listen, you shouldn't have to be in a relationship because you need a man. You should be in a relationship because you want to be there with them. And if a man puts his hands on you, you don't need to be there. You know, and this is what I teach all the time to them. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm sorry.
Right. So you have any questions? You have any questions for Nijaah?
Oh, no. It's just, listen, I'm just calling to say that I agree with her. Like, I agree with Ms. Howard. Nijaah knows I agree with her. I send her emails and everything, and I dig everything that she's doing. I dig up everything that she's doing. And she's been a great part of my growth, as well as you, God RB. You've been a great part of my growing process.
I can't take credit for
everything
that,
that I'm doing, you know. And I just want to let you know that I'm out here attacking. I'm going through NAN. I'm out here attacking, and I'm doing the best I can as one little single black man in this world trying to make a difference.
Excellent. You know, one of the great things about Guy, thank you so much for the compliments. But I have to say, Guy is a great guy. And a lot of it is because he's open-minded and he's willing to learn. He wants to improve. He wants to, do right and do well. And so, and make a difference. And whenever anybody wants to change their mindset, to change their life, to impact positively into other people's lives, you have to give credit where it's due. Absolutely. And so he does the work. He's actually going to be at my events on October 8th. And to God I would love for you to show up as well. I'm having a membership meeting where Black and brown men, professional male leaders and businessmen in Queens and throughout are going to be getting on to figure out how they can become members of Young Men Strong and help the next generation of young men. But one of the things, like I was saying before about with Guy, it's so important that you learn to invest in yourself before you can even begin to start investing in other people. You want to make sure you have, don't be afraid of mental health counseling.
That's right. Don't
be afraid of having someone to support you in areas of trauma or grief and loss or depression, anxiety, stress. Reach out for support. There's nothing like it to help shape and curb you, to strengthen you and give you the tools you need to be able to cope through the challenges that life does throw at each of us. So when you learn the tools, when you learn which ones to use and how to use them, then you can begin to start teaching other people the tools to use and how to use them. So it's important that we improve ourselves first so that we can now pass on not just love, but pass on love with action, love with tools, love with resources, love that's effective, love that's competent. We want to be able to pass on information that's going to help the next generation help the next generation.
There you go. I definitely appreciate that. So I am a survivor of domestic violence. And this was back when I was about 18 years old. I thought I was in love and so on and so on. And I got out of it because I saw that my daughter tried to get off the bed at the age of 3 to try to help me off the floor. So, with that, I decided to get out of this type of relationship. After a while, I felt like, when I was in it, I felt like I was just useless, worthless. I just felt like, why am I here type of thing, So with that, I turned and this I'm talking to Mr. Fisher, I turned that because I wanted to do stuff with bullying, but I didn't really know too much about bullying. So I went and I just sat in a room and I just figured it out. What do I really want to do? Like I was talking about domestic violence in college, all type of stuff. And I was just like, that domestic violence came to me in the middle of my sleep, because that before I went to sleep, I was struggling, bullying. Like, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to do? Is it bullying? And it came to me in my sleep. And the next morning, I said, I want to do stuff with domestic violence. And listening to Maya Angelou's poem, I am phenomenal. Excuse me. Yeah, I am phenomenal, or phenomenal woman. There you go. Phenomenal woman. This is when I gave the birth to We Are Phenomenal Women, because when I heard her poem and read the poem, it was certain things in there that help me understand that I am a phenomenal woman. And then when I start having more and more of these discussions with classmates and about domestic violence, and I start seeing more and more articles about domestic violence, I said, you know what? We are phenomenal women, because even though we go through abuse,
Press 2.
we still put a smile on our face and we still maintain a household, watch grow up, raise our children, be in relationships that's toxic or non-toxic. But at the end of the day, I realized what I needed to do. And that was something that was embedded in me, something I went through, something I definitely understand, something I pretty much is passionate about. And that was domestic violence. So, Mr. Fisher, what I would say to you, my brother, is whatever you're passionate about, whatever that it's something that is on your heart, not nobody else's heart, in your heart to do. There is a cause of whatever pain that you have gone through. There is a name for it, because you're going to come up with that name. There's an organization for it, because you're going to build that. So, with that being said, Mr. Fisher, anything is possible. Just make it happen. That's it.
We have another caller. Caller, state your name and where you calling from.
This is Brother Mark.
Oh, shoot. Brother Mark McPhee.
Hello, Brother Mark.
And I want to start by saying peace to all of you on the broadcast.
Peace.
Peace.
Also,
Peace.
kudos to Brother Guy, for he has shown growth and he has shown commitment. And the words that he say are correct words, for sure. So Brother God Ali and I was at a youth forum, and the youth forum centered around this young man who was murdered. I say that to say this. We have so many young people that are dealing with trauma, that's dealing with grief and loss, as you stated. And sister, I believe that we had you on Families United for Solutions. And you are a Renaissance woman with many hats doing good works in the community. So my question to you, my dear, is what has been your inspiration? What inspires you to do the work that you're doing in so many aspects of our community?
Oh, great question, Brother Mark McPhee. And nothing but love for you. Absolutely. And I can't wait to connect with us again. I have to say that in my earlier years of coming out of my struggle, in my triumph, in my hopelessness, in my helplessness, one of the biggest things was I had to keep on the forefront when I was younger. This was my first one. But in the beginning, I kept right there that the greatest revenge is success. Because in the beginning, I was a very hurt young woman raising my son by myself. But I had to realize that in order to overcome the pain, I couldn't demonstrate bitterness or unforgiveness or hate or anger. In order to overcome that, I had to pivot. And I realized that the greatest revenge is success. So my drive towards becoming who I am today was because I didn't want to be what mainstream media had already destined a single Black woman raising a son by herself as is. That was not going to be my story. So for single moms out there or anyone out there, if you are faced with any kind of opposition where people are telling you what you can't do, what you're not going to do, what you're not going to become, just realize that the greatest revenge is success.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got anything else you want to tell the people before you go? We about to sign off.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Brother Mark. I appreciate you.
Peace. Speak to you soon, all right?
Okay, peace and blessings.
Okay, so this was a beautiful interview. I see a lot of feedback in the chat, so I know people are definitely enjoying the information and receiving the information. I'd like to say thank you to our guest, Nijaah Howard, the editorial director of Young Men Strong. Go out there and get Thoughts Magazine, the editorial director of Thoughts Magazine. Pardon my French. But go out there and get Thoughts Magazine. Thoughts Magazine, as my wife said, is a beautiful magazine.
Yes,
with
it is.
pictures, great interviews, articles, and it's going to be food for the people that need the information. So please go out there or get one of your loved ones' Thoughts Magazine who may be in an institution or somewhere that needs this information. So what's your closing thoughts, Miss Howard?
Well, my closing thoughts is I leave everybody with whenever I'm doing any kind of show or media is that when we strengthen our boys and we stabilize our girls and women. So if you want to learn more about my path and just being in my space and what are the things that I do, you can log on to youngmenstrong.com or to thoughts-magazine.com. If you want to email me directly, I'm at info@youngmenstrong.com. So again, when we strengthen our boys and men, we stabilize our girls and women.
That's peace. So
I
thank
love
you
that.
once again for coming out, and we'll definitely be in touch soon. And send me the information about the event so I could post it and so I could participate as well. In October 8th, you said?
Yep, October 8th at 8:00 p.m.
Okay, so send me the
Awesome.
information, and we look forward to seeing the next issue of Thoughts Magazine.
Well, I would love
Absolutely.
to ask the sister and Mr. Fisher, if you don't mind, and anybody else that's on this live with us, if you love to participate, please. I need all man and woman on deck to be a part of this domestic violence commercial. Once again, you do not have to show your face. You do not have to you can speak. There's so many different ways that we could do this without, if you still I don't want to say scared, but if you still having situations of showing your face, we could still do this without showing your face. We could do the message, we could do a poster. I need everybody to be a part of this. We're gonna try our very best to do this next week around 2:00. If anybody who is interested, please feel free to reach out to We Are Phenomenal Woman. .com or sgatewood GATEWOOD WAPW @gmail.com, or you can just send a reply underneath this live. You can leave a comment, because enough is enough. And like Sister Howard said, that if the men is not right, now the females are not right. So we just need everybody to get on this one accord. This particular day, we want to film it. It's a commercial. Once we finish it and edit it through Brother Nafish, who is going to film it. Once he's done, we just want to promote it as much as we can. I need all men and women on deck. That's how I met my husband, through a African American march for domestic violence. I didn't even know where to put the men, but guess what? I made a way. Our men was on the outside of the women, because those men was protecting our women. That's that we need y'all. We need y'all. We need y'all protection, and y'all need us as well. So we need each other. So let's make it work. Enough is enough. Domestic violence commercial next week Sunday. Peace.
Peace to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I definitely want to give a shout out to my brother Guy Fisher. I want to give a shout out to Uncle Mark Mafee, who tuned in and spoke. I want to give a shout out to my sister Nasha Gatewood. Salute to you, Queen. We definitely want to give a shout out to Catherine Marrow, who has definitely been tuning in and giving her insight in the chat room. Yeah, so salute to everybody that tuned in, and also salute to Benita's show. She tuned in. This is the Speak Your Mind podcast with the Alis. We continue to grow. Salute to Melissa Pena. We continue to grow. We continue to add on, and we're going to continue to bring you great content with people that's doing excellent things in the community. So yeah, that's all I have to say, really. I got my young boy right here. He messing with me. So, he got me tongue-tied. So, peace to everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good day.
Peace. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace. Brought to you by Iron Phenomenal Unlimited. This is the Speak Your Mind podcast, hosted by the Queen, Shanice Gatewood Ali, and the God, I Be. Speak Your Mind, an open line podcast, delves into the week's current events, trending topics, and the social issues that affect Black people in America.